Eli, we're done. Can you make sure you do the punk rock one?
Let's go!
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Primas Podcast. Thank you for being with us. I am your favorite tallest Prima, Cindy, on the ones and twos. Jessica, ¿cómo estás, mija? What are you laughing to the mic?
I am laughing. You always just throw these little jabs. Like I'm trying to start my day with like good vibes, but here you are, just always like throwing the height thing at us because you know how it triggers me. You know that, Prima.
No, I'm proud of my height. I just like to throw that into my intro. It's a part of who I am. I like that I'm a tall ass woman. Anyways,
good
remember
morning,
when I used to
Prima.
give you knuckle sandwiches? Because you were like right below me and I would give you knuckle sandwiches. But anyways, so I'm really excited. Happy day to everybody. Thank you again so much for listening. You guys have no idea. Every time a video goes out and I'm looking at just to do our own research, you know, like we look at the viewership and it breaks my heart because it's like so beautiful. Well, I guess it doesn't break my heart, but it makes my heart bigger.
Happy,
anyways,
full of warmth.
Yeah. Full of warmth. So we have a very special topic and a very special guest. I don't want to introduce her with her credentials because that's literally what we're going to talk about. But this person, she is my comadre spiritually. She is my big sister. Even though I don't have any sisters, this person has been in my life since I was like 8-ish, like just as a child. And she's my oldest brother's wife, partner. She's a mom. She is a full-time, since I've met you, you've worked full-time. And so I'm so excited. We get to talk about our higher ed experience with the person that helped me get into that world. So Nelly, welcome to the Primas Podcast.
Damn, Cindy, bring out the waterworks from the go, huh?
You already cried? Don't say you're already crying because I'm going to cry too.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
You both better stop because then I'm gonna cry. We're all gonna start crying.
I'm like legit sitting here with like my box of tissues.
Dang. No, but you're ready.
Thank you for that warm entry. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your time with us. We've been trying to make this happen for 2 years now, you guys, so it's kind of a big deal.
I had a little wiggle room in my agenda this morning. I'm just kidding.
She finally freed up because she had a cancellation. So we're like, ooh, we saw a window and we got in there. So yeah, you guys, we're going to talk about just, a little get to know me episode to explain how it was for us, like after high school, what we did in case, I don't know, some people that didn't go to college are like, how is that experience? Or is college for everybody? And I also want to talk about in our new time with technology advances, like college is going to look so different. So we just want to talk about, we've all had a pretty unique experience with our college experience. Like all three of us had a very different journey. And I think it's cool because some people think you can only do it a certain way. And we're here to tell you that if college is for you, and if that's something you do want to do, this is how we did it. And I did it back in the day. So there's also that disclaimer, like, I don't know. And I was thinking, I'm like, it's just not even like that anymore.
You did it so long ago. You did it before, like in the MySpace era. That's how long ago Cindy did her higher education.
Yeah, it was in the late 50s. And so we didn't have computers yet. Like only the rich Macintosh people had. Just kidding. But yeah, so, man, that takes us back.
Wow. What does that say about me? I'm like way older than you guys. What the hell?
Yeah. No, I'm just playing.
In the way back when we wrote on concrete stone.
Wait, okay, so should we go around and say when we graduated high school? Yeah, let's put some time.
Yikes.
No?
That's fine. I'm good.
Just because Nelly, you never know. What if you inspire someone to be like, you know what? I'm gonna go to ELAC, or I don't know.
Fine. I'm not ashamed of my well-lived years.
You
So
ooze
I
with wisdom.
graduated. You do ooze with wisdom. I graduated high school in 05. 05, 2005. Jessica,
I graduated high school 2008.
Nelly.
Rough Rider class of 1998.
Wow, we're 10 years apart.
Shout out to my Roosevelt High School Rough Riders.
That's true.
Yeah, shout out to Roosevelt.
I like
So
East-
I did. Sorry, go Jess.
I was just gonna say, I forget you graduated there, and that's where you met Robert, because my mom went there and my cousins on my mom's side. And I was always thinking, man, Roosevelt's such an elite school. But as I got older, I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't go there. Just kidding, Ellie. I just like their pool. I thought the pool was pretty cool.
Don't knock it till you try it. I know we passed by there last weekend with the girls, and we're like, I went to Hollenbeck, which is right across. That's their junior high.
Mhm.
So I was like, this is where mom came to junior high. This is where mom and dad came to high school. And then we passed by the pool, and they were like, what? You guys had a pool? We're like, yeah, part of our like schedule, we had to have PE. We had to have a swim class.
Yeah, I
That was pretty
remember. That's all
And
I
that is-
envied.
And that is very unique for a school in East LA
Mhm.
and just the area where it was at. I mean, everybody in LA, I think, knew Roosevelt because they had a swimming pool and it was outdoor. It was like, what?
Yeah.
So that's
totally agree.
awesome. It's funny that you didn't want to go to Roosevelt, Jess, because my mom purposely, because we're from Cyprus, so our neighborhood school was Franklin. My
Mhm.
mom hated Franklin with the passion, and that's where all of our, like all of my uncles went there. You guys went there, so my mom was like, nope, and she found Roosevelt because they had a magnet program. Not that I was gonna get in, but I think Abraham did, and then that's when she started. Like Robert and Abraham ended up going to high school up there, and if we hadn't moved, she was already like, say bye to your friends now because you're not going to Franklin or Lincoln or Eagle, you know? And I'm like, my mom moved me from schools every 2 years, you guys. That's like very traumatizing. But let's not get into my traumas because we do that in every episode. Okay. So just real quick, I want to give you guys my little fast story, and then we'll get into like we'll do everybody's story, and then we'll get into like the little details. So I did high school in Colorado. That's during that time, during my teen years, that's when my mom moved us to Colorado. And so I did high school in 2 different schools. Of course, I did who cares? But then I was like, I'm leaving. I hated Colorado. I was a teenager. All my friends were back in LA. All my family was back in LA. I would always come out in the summers back to LA. Like I just never fit in Colorado at the time. Of course, I was just like too cool and like haters gonna hate. But yeah, no, I really had like one friend, and I think she just felt sad for me. So I was like, thank you. But anyway, so I moved back. But the reason I was able to do that was because when I was a junior, I was on the phone with Robert one time with my brother, and Nelly was in the background saying, hey, is she looking at any schools? At that time, I had no idea about college. I didn't know anything. I saw it in movies, but nobody in my environment went to college. So I just didn't have that vocabulary. I didn't know anything, and I never thought I'd go to college. I've never been academically, how do you say it? Good? Proficient? Inclined. I never have all my life, like I was a C student. I don't know how I graduated every single year. I think people just felt bad for me. I wasn't a problem. Like I wasn't problematic, but the school system just never was for me. Like I just never learned that way. And because I didn't get good grades, you know, you get repeated to yourself, like, you're not a smart person. Why in the hell would I pursue college? So that's why I just never thought that I could, because I'm like, I'm not going to do well. I don't do well with test taking. Not because I get anxious, because I just didn't have a connection to what I was learning. So I was like, you have to score high to get into a college, to even apply. Like I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to graduate high school. How would I, as a junior? Like, it was just such an alien concept. But Nelly started to get it into my head. She was like, okay, well, what about community college? And I was like, what is this you talk about? And so she introduced me to ELAC, which was where she was working. Shout out East LA College, totally changed my life. Oh no, Waterworks. Just kidding, but it's so like, damn, that was such a big part of my life because I never thought I could go to college. And because I had the community college buffer, for me, who wasn't an academically inclined person, it changed my life. I started to get good grades. I started to really apply myself. I wanted to give myself another chance, but the ELAC format, like the community college format, allows you to do placement exams where you test where you're gonna, like how are you in math and in literacy, right, and reading or whatever, and then they place you pretty much start over. It felt like high school to me, like a little bit of an extension. And then after that you can transfer out to a college or university by starting over. Like they're gonna count your GPA from there because my GPA in high school wouldn't have worked. So then after that I transferred to Cal State Long Beach, where I graduated with a psych degree. And after that, after a few years, I moved back to Colorado, and then I just started to work. I really like social justice. I've always been in the nonprofit sector. I started to specialize in public health and in food justice, and now I'm still out here like as an organizer. I always feel like every job that I've had has allowed me the opportunity to organize, and I love it. So that's a little summary of me. Who wants to go next?
Prima, you didn't even talk about your greaser days. I was hoping we were going to have a little moment for your greaser days. Remember those?
But that wasn't in college, was it?
That was late high school, early college years.
Yeah, I was trying to be cool. Like my two older brothers had a huge influence on me, obviously. And Abraham was a hardcore little punk rocker skinhead. Yes, even though he's Latino, he really adopted the movement. Him and his friends and his band. And then Robert was a greaser. And so all of my friends, because my brothers are like 7 years apart, they're all like, oh my God, your brothers are so cute. Like everybody, everywhere we moved, all my friends in school, my folklorico friends. And so I was like, I want to be cute too, but they're my brothers. I was surrounded by guys. So I was like, I'm going to be a greaser too. And like, I would do a little psychobilly, like mix of it. But that's also when I moved to Colorado. So
yeah, because I remember I like that style, but I remember your college experience. I remember when you were working like 2 jobs, you were working at Aragon and then commuting all the way to Long Beach. And then you even had your 1-bedroom apartment. And so I really looked up to you. I know like Nelly influenced you or inspired you, but I really looked up to you. And especially like when you'd be like, oh, don't worry, Jess, I got you. Don't worry, Jess, I got you. Or like, you let me stay in your apartment. I'm like, man, this is the goal. This is the life Cindy's living out here.
What Jessica's talking about, I also want to say one of the cons, because we had a lot of fun, but I also accrued a lot of college debt. So we're going to get into that so that you don't make the same mistakes that I did that I'm still paying for. So anyways, so Jess, tell us your journey, like right after high school.
So right after high school, so I graduated from Franklin High School. And this is an important factor in my journey to college, because I didn't learn anything in my high school. I was just talking to Roger about this because Roger went to Franklin for 1 year and he went to Belmont and he said he was like passing his classes with like a C, and his mom was like, no, dude, like I'm going to show you a lesson because he lives here in Highland Park. I'm going to send you to Franklin. And he's like, I couldn't believe how he said he was passing his classes with like over 100% and not even trying. And I'm like, dude, I was struggling and I was sleeping through my classes. Look, I didn't learn anything in Franklin, and I honestly didn't. I would sleep through my classes. I started working my junior year. So I was just like, why do I need to be here when, I just thought going to working right after high school was the dream. And then little by little, after I graduated, I started taking like 2 or 3 classes at Pasadena City College. I was going full time. And also like Cindy, I just noticed like I wasn't really passing my classes because I really wasn't applying myself. So throughout the rest of the 8 years, not even, I think it was 10 years, because I didn't go back to school full time until 28, a little after I had my daughter. And in those 10 years, I was taking a class here and there, doing my AA transfer, if I'm not mistaken, like that, right? You check off all your classes that you're taking in order to transfer aside from your major classes. So I was taking those in and out for 10 years. And other than that, I was working full time, traveling. I did live on my own with a roommate. So I was just living my youth. And then it wasn't until my daughter was born where I was like, no, I got to finish this dream of mine. So once I had Melody that spring, I went to my counselor at Pasadena, and she's like, you only need one class. I'll put you in. So I missed the enrollment date, but she got me in. I passed that class. It was like a 6 a.m. class. I don't know how the hell I did it with the newborn. Going to PCC 2 times a week. I passed that class and I was able to transfer to downtown. And I think it was a new system, right, Nelly, within the Cal State LA, because they offered this program for people like me who work full time, who didn't have a lot of flexibility during the day to go. And my counselor had told me, she's like, dude, I think you should apply for this program. She didn't say dude, but she's like, I think you should apply for it. It's going to work for you. And she's like, if you stick to it, you'll be done at Cal State LA in 2 years. And it was the hardest 2 years of my life, going full time, Monday through Thursday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. After a full day's work, I was working 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I would come home, see my daughter for a little bit, go to school, and come home and be home by like 9:30. Sometimes I wouldn't put her asleep. Sometimes she would already be asleep. And then I'd pick her up at my mom's in Highland Park and then drive home to the Valley. I was doing that for like 2 years. And I just kept thinking like, this is all for Melody. And I needed like proof to myself, I can finish it. And yeah, after 2 years sticking to it, and shout out to my Cal State LA like moms club. You guys know who you are. We really helped each other through those times, because there was times where I would break down and be like, I can't do it. Like, there's no way. And so we were all moms in my crew that I like, my little clique, I guess you can say. We were all moms. We all had different journeys. We all had different struggles. But here we are at Cal State LA, like later in life, you know, we missed that time frame where I think it's like early in your 20s, you should be done with your undergraduate. But we were like, no, we're going to help each other. We're going to be each other's support system. And seriously, if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have finished on my own. If I didn't have a network of friends like them who are so relatable, I don't think I would have finished. And yeah, I graduated last May 2020, and it had been 12 years since high school. I had just turned 30 with a daughter who was like a year and a half.
That's awesome. Yeah, totally.
So,
even a better accomplishment, right?
Even better. Yeah, it felt even better.
Nelly, tell us a little bit about.
So,
what did you do after high school?
So reflecting, you know, when you guys reached out, or Cindy, when you reached out, Jess, I've had a lot of time to reflect, and it's crazy to think about, you know, everything that we go through. I think when you're in it, you're on like go mode, that you don't realize like everything that's going on and what it's taking. But I guess now that I'm not knee deep into it, you know, I'm thinking back, it's like I'll be honest, like I have to take it back to like my parents. You know, they both came here looking for a better life for their kids, and I'm sorry.
Okay to get emotional.
Oh, yes. But with that said, education was always, it was something that was always like, you have to do it. I'm sorry, guys.
Crying is a very normal reaction, you guys. And here at the Primas, we always say we need to normalize. Crying is like a sneeze. It's like your body saying, "Oh, we need to let this out," and so let's let it out.
No, wait, let me say something. Let me say something.
You're right. I'm going to be very unapologetic about my feelings. This is it. So, okay. Whew, sorry, guys. It's just very touchy. But so with that, my parents, that's something, especially my mom. You know, my mom had a really tough upbringing. Here, she always worked. Like, I could remember waking up, my mom was gone. Coming home from school, she still wasn't home. You know, it was rough. So she would always tell us, like, look at me, like, you don't want this for yourselves. You guys need to get an education. that's something that's going to open doors for you. And that's something my brothers, myself, my sister have always had in our mind. Like, it wasn't like a question of if I'm going to go. It was always like, I'm going to go. So I do have two older brothers. One of them, you know, was like on it. He was on it, graduated, went straight, you know, to USC. So for me, USC was always like the goal, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, here I come, you know, little high school girl from, you know, Boyle High, CSULA. Junior year, I go into my guidance counselor's office and she's like, okay, Nelly, so, you know, they bring out your, I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but, you know, they bring out your grades, your transcripts, and then they talk about like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to go to USC. She looks at my transcripts and she laughs and she's like, oh, honey, you know, I think ELAC sounds good for you. And that was it. There was like no explanation, no, you know, you still have a year, you know, like what can you do to improve this or why? She didn't sit there and explain to me. Later on in life, I found out my grades weren't, you know, up to par. I think I had like I don't know, you know, I was your average student. I think I had like a 2.9. Right. So, okay, maybe I wasn't USC material, but, or who knows, you know, or maybe I was at Cal State. I don't know, but there was never like an explanation. So that totally like brought down my spirit, you know, completely brought down my spirit. I was actually always surrounded myself or my friends were, I guess, like gifted. They were always in the know. And they were like, no, like you can go to college, you can go to community college or apply to Cal State LA. But I think by that time it was already too late. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna work, you know. Previous years, I was part of, I don't know if you guys were familiar with it. It's Garfield High School has a math enrichment program called the Jaime Escalante program. And a lot of my friends took summer classes at ELAC to up their math game when it came down to like their next high school year. So while they were like in calculus, you know, AP classes, I think I had to take it, but because I had to make up an algebra class. So what it was basically is they offered these math classes and you would get high school credit. So one summer I took the class there. I was making up, I forgot if it was like geometry or algebra, but they offered summer jobs for the participants of that program. And they offered summer jobs there at East LA Community College. So I said, yes, you know, I want to work. You know, they came in, they do a presentation and, you know, you apply, I'm sorry. And they teach you not only, so they place you within an office at East LA Community College. So they reach out to their offices and they say, hey, you know, we have student workers for the summer. It's paid by the city of LA. And they don't have to do anything. It's just extra student support. But at the same time, the city comes in and provides like workshops on like resume writing, on interview skills, on college applications, on FAFSA. So it was awesome. We would work like Monday through Thursday, and then Fridays we had our student workshops. So I had done that my summer before my senior year, right? So before my last year in college, I did that, and I was actually placed
in high school.
In high school, yeah, my junior summer before my senior in high school,
right before your senior year.
And I was placed at the MESA program, the Math, Engineering, Science Achievement Program at ELAC, and it was awesome. You know, I was a little summer worker, high school student. You know, I finished off my year there. I finished my high school year, and I said, I'm just gonna work, right? But I guess I made an impression with the supervisor at the MESA Center, and she reached out to me. And she said, hey, you know, I know you graduated. I want you to come back and work with us. And I said, yes, like I'll take it. But you have to be a student at East LA College. And I'm like, but I'm not going to college. Like I was like, I was deflated. Like I was like, I'm not going to go. I'm not worthy. I can't do this. Right.
I didn't know like, that.
Yeah, I know.
I always thought you were like 100%. I didn't know like a guidance counselor unmotivated you. How sad.
Totally. I was totally unmotivated. That's the word. I was totally like, nope, I'm just gonna work. So, you know, she reaches out to me And she says, well, in order for you to work here, you have to be a student. So I was like, okay. It was literally like a month before school started, and she helped me. She's like, this is what you have to do. Aramida Avila, shout out to Miss Avila. She was the director of the MESA program at that time. So she helped me out. She reached out. She's like, this is what you have to do. Come in. One day I went in. She walked me through. She literally walked me. We were located off campus across the street from Mila. She literally like walked with me to the admissions office. And, you know, we did all that, got us situated. I started working and I was a student. And from there, you know, I started seeing, we helped, it was a support program for students who are majoring in math, engineering, and science. And the program itself provided support, tutoring, counseling. They had like book rentals, calculator rentals. Throughout the years, as I met students, you know, I would hear about their stories, and it was nothing compared to what I went through. Like nothing. They were immigrants themselves, living on the street. Some of the students were homeless. Like they had legit struggles. And I thought to myself, like, you know, I'm not a victim. I need to get out of the woe is me. Yes, the counselor said this to me, but you know, I'm not gonna let that determine what my outcome in life is gonna be. Besides, I had it, my mom, like, I need to do this. Like, this was always my goal because of one person, like, no way. So, you know, how you say in Spanish, like, me puse las pilas, like, I was like, I gotta do this. And, you know, from there, it's history. I was able to transfer over to CSULA. I did work my whole time. Unfortunately, you know, financially, I couldn't have the support of, you know, my parents. For whatever reason, I wasn't that much informed about FAFSA and financial aid. Like I applied, but I didn't qualify. So basically, I worked from, I think I worked from like 9 to 3:30, and then I had class from 4, yeah, in the evening, probably till 10 o'clock. I was at ELEC for a few years, transferred over to Cal State LA. I received my undergraduate, my bachelor's in urban learning. I wanted to be a teacher. I did a blended program, received my credentials, and all while working. Even when I transferred, you know, the MESA program was able to figure out, since I was still a student, not at ELEC, but at Cal State, I think she kind of like moved some funds around, and she was able to continue paying for me. And yeah, I continued. My day was, it was crazy because it wasn't a blended program. Yeah, I was at school, I think Monday through Thursday, sometimes even Monday through Friday from like 4 to 10, you know, and you just do it. I think I was just like on go mode. Like, I'm going to prove people wrong. I could do this. You know, I want my mom to be proud of me. I always had that in the back of my head. So, you know, I did that. I taught for a minute, but I always had in the background like that little seed of like higher ed. I was able to move forward. I got a job where I'm currently at one of the CSU systems, and I liked working with college students. You know, being there, seeing their motivation, I realized like these are just another version of those little kids I worked with. You know, we still have the same struggles, we still have the same issues, the same worries and fears. And I said, you know what, I really like this. So as the years went by, um, I thought about a graduate degree. And, you know, that was never a goal. It was like, okay, that's it. I got my bachelor's. You know, I like my job. I like what I'm doing. And I think I'm making an impact. But I don't know. It was like, I think it was just a personal goal of like, I could do this. I entered a graduate degree with a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old at home. I was already in my mid 30s, but that was just a personal goal of mine. I'm like, I could do this. Like, I talk to students all the time and I tell them, you could do this. You know, I talk to moms who have way more of a background of a struggle going on at the moment. You know, why can't I do this? So I don't know. I made it a personal goal of my own to be like, I could do this. And I have to say, I have to shout out, I couldn't have done it on my own. I've been blessed with an awesome support system in my husband and my mother. They were my constant cheerleaders. You know, when I was like, I can't do this, you know, there was one statistics class. Math has never been my forte. And I had, yes,
That isn't math. Stats is devil's math. I don't
Yeah,
know why we have that.
statistics. So because it had been so long since I took it in my undergrad, I had to retake it. So guys, you have 10 years before, to receive credit for courses before you have to retake it.
Oh,
I didn't know
hell
that.
no.
Yeah.
That's definitely gonna, that's
So,
blocking my barriers for my graduate degree.
girl, I almost quit. I was like, I can't. I would cry. I would come home crying to Robert. I can't do this. Like, this is it. And he would always tell me, you're going to tell me that you're going to let one class like stop you? Like, no, like you've come this far. There's no way. And I don't know how the hell that has been my most proudest C I have ever received in a class.
Yeah.
But I did
understand.
it. I did it. I finished. I had my little cheerleaders in the gap and the sidelines, and graduation. Oh my goodness gracious! I think I cried throughout the whole time because I was legit like sweat. What is it? Sweat, tears, and pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blood. Yeah. But I did it, and here I am. I did receive my master's in counseling with an option in rehabilitation counseling and a certification in higher ed. So that's my goal. I'm going to continue. I'm not exactly where I want to be yet, but I'm on that road, and it was definitely a struggle, but it's doable. It's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, it's a piece of cake. It's not. But if that's legit a goal in your life, like it's definitely gonna, it's definitely doable. It's achievable,
Yeah, that's crazy because after Armida and the MESA program, you passed that down to me. Like that the MESA so Nelly, a combination of Nelly, her introducing me to ELAC, she did the same exact thing. She walked me to fill out my application, turn it in. I think you dropped me off because you were also planning your wedding that summer. So you dropped me off for my placement exam. And I was so scared to be in a college campus. I had just got some brand new highlights on my hair for the wedding. And so I'm just like, ooh, I felt like special but nervous. And I was 18. I was just like straight out of high school and I didn't know nothing. And Nelly was like, you're gonna be fine. You just need this. And she was so organized. And like I just was like amazed. I'm like, how do you do it? You're not human. What are you talking about? And like she's always been so busy. She's always had like just a lot. And so I try to model her behavior when I was in college. So like I worked at Aragon. Nelly, I went to school in Aragon, you guys. It's right up the street from my grandma's house. Like it's a very accessible school to me. But Nelly helped me with that job too, because there was like I needed a part-time job because Mesa just gave me part-time hours too. So I was like, no, I need to work full-time. And you were like, look on the LAUSD website. I think they're hiring at Aragon. And I did, and they hired me. And so I was working there in the morning, and then like from 7 to 12, and then from 1 to 4, I was working at Mesa Monday through Friday. And then I was also taking evening or Saturday classes. And then I also got really involved in ELAC because of Mesa. So Mesa, same thing, because I had a lot of like some of the people that I went to school with that were in the Mesa cohort during that time, crazy stories. Shout out to my friend Maria, to Fernie, to Carla, to Marina, Eves, Angel, Gustavo. I mean, these people, I thought my story was impactful. Right. And it's just like you hear what they're doing. They're on survival mode and they're pre-engineering, pre-med. I mean, it was like, Cindy, if you don't shut the hell up about your, like my little problems and get your shit together, like people were really going after very difficult degrees, first generation. And I'm over here struggling with statistics and algebra. And those were my tutors. And so that whole entire cohort changed my life. And it was thanks to Nelly, because when Nelly left Mesa, her position opened up. And had it not been for her, I was this person, I didn't have, my job experience was like Cinnabon and at the daycare center. Like I was in high school, I worked at a daycare center during the week, like with kids. So anyway, Mesa was a huge thing, but I also want to say that if you do go to school, I don't know how it is anymore, but there's a lot of support with like different groups in the school. I also joined, I've always danced Mexican folklorico. At the time I was still kind of in it. And so they had a folklorico group. So I got really involved with ELAC folklorico group. Shout out to the infamous Islas Folklorico by instructor Benjamin Hernandez. He retired, but he was an instructor that studied in Mexico. And it's just kind of a big deal because folklorico is a very old art. And East LA is one of the few places that it's still pretty much alive. But to have had an instructor like him who was still a part of like the old school like traditional folklorico was a very big deal. And I didn't even realize it at the time. At the time I was a snarky little brat. And I was just like there for fun. And I had background in dancing, so I was just like, I'll do it. But like he really taught me a lot. And then I also joined the psychology club. So that, you know, I feel like all of those support groups are very important because you get to meet people with similar stories, or like I said, when people have even crazier stories, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm over here, you know, just your complaints become like, shut up, stop complaining, like your life isn't that hard. That helped me a lot. It helped propel me. At one point in my life, I thought I could be an engineer. Maria, at some point, she got me really into fractions. You learn that shit in elementary school. And I'm like, Maria, she used to give me homework before my actual homework. She's like, no, numbers are so beautiful. I'm going to show you the way. And she did. You did show me the way, Maria. And I got so confident. This was like algebra 1 or 2, you guys, just to paint the picture for engineering, you know? And I was like, maybe I can be a doctor. It was just like, they get in your head, those engineers that are great with numbers. So yeah, so that was a big deal. And yeah, I just wanted to share that because you said MESA, and like MESA really changed my life to be around a lot of pre-med, pre-engineering students. I got to do research at Cal State LA through them, and I wasn't even a MESA student. And MESA, Dr. Rivera for me was the director that was there at the time, and he opened a lot of doors. And again, I just feel like I was very ungrateful at the time. I was very young and snarky that the things that I'm saying now, at the time I was like, whatever. And it was like such a big deal to be considered a MESA student when I didn't have a MESA major. My major was psychology, and that wasn't math, engineering, or science. So shout out to MESA for that beautiful experience.
I think I was the only one of the Barajas clan who didn't go to ELAC. Ever.
How dare you?
You went to PCC.
I stayed there. I went to GCC for like a handful of classes because I was working out in Glendale, and I did not like it very much. And I quickly ran back to PCC. Mm-hmm. I was there for almost 10 years.
Class in Pasadena Community College.
Yeah. So I didn't have that college experience with like other peers or relating to clubs or even joining a sorority. And even when I transferred, it wasn't until I was in that cohort where I met those girls. So they're the only ones who gave me that like somewhat college experience when I like bonded with them.
But even Jess, even though it wasn't like your traditional, that mm-hmm. group that you're talking about, that's the same feeling I got. It's your support system. You have to find that in college because it's lonely for a first-time student. I didn't have anybody to talk about this with. And since I only had Nelly that I talked about this with, because my brother was in the military at the time, and then he started going to school. So we were kind of going to school together, but I didn't want to bother her, you know, because I'm like, man, I'm like, Nelly, what about this? Nelly, what about that? And she would always help. So once I started to get comfortable with the MESA students and with ELAC and with the folklorico group, like all of those different cohorts, had it not been for them as well, I wouldn't have been as successful. I'm just, again, I'm not an academically inclined student. I don't really care to put in hours. Now I see the value in it. Now I'm more disciplined and I can do that. But at the time, that I just didn't have that maturity, you know, like I was just like, whatever. And so all of these opportunities that were handed to me, now looking back, I'm like, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it without the MESA students, with Nelly. I had never thought I could ever do college. ELAC, you know, was just huge. And once I did go to Cal State Long Beach, I wanted to get involved there. I didn't really do too well because I was commuting. And so I did join a sorority. Shout out to the Sisters of Lambda Sigma Gamma, multicultural sorority. One of the dancers at ELAC, she introduced me to Lambda Sigma Gamma because she was from UC Riverside. She was a sister from UC Riverside. And she was like, I was like, hey, do you know anybody at Cal State Long Beach? Like, I want to meet friends. Like, I don't know anybody over there. And she was just like, oh, I'm going to connect you to my sorority. And I ended up joining it. And it was cool. But again, now looking back, because I wasn't academically inclined, I shouldn't have added another, because I was still dancing. I shouldn't have added another distraction. And so my grades, thank God, I had really good grades right after ELAC. I was on the dean's honor list for like 2 semesters. That's like a big deal.
Girl.
I cried. Yeah. Like my GPA was like 3 point something. And I was like, what? Are they sure? And then, so that helped me when I went to Cal State Long Beach, because in my head, I'm like, oh, right after this, I'm going to get my master's. Didn't think that went through. Because I had to continue to take statistics. God, statistics is the death of us, huh? So I had to take graduate,
Totally.
like not graduate, but just higher level statistics classes. And I tried it 2 times and I got D's because I really believed in myself. I don't know why, because I wasn't doing well. And then that brought my GPA down, but I saved myself. I was still able to graduate, like, because it brought it down. But because I had such a high GPA going in, oh, it was just really risky. I'm like, how did I graduate high school? How did I get out of ELAC? How did I get out of Long Beach? Like, I don't understand, but I
But
did.
you did it. You did it. Like, that's one thing I always tell my students. Hey, your degree, when you confer, when you graduate, your degree doesn't include your GPA. Like, who cares? You passed.
Yeah.
Your degree will look exactly the same as the 4.3 student. You got it.
Yeah, exactly.
But going back a little bit about what you were saying with support systems, I totally agree. I think it's really important to surround ourselves with people that are like-minded. One thing my father would always tell us is always surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. And that's something that's always resonated. My older brother would always tell me that, the same thing. He's like, surround yourself with people who are goal-oriented and like-minded. And I think that's, I attribute my years at ELAC with that. It's like surrounding yourself with people who have the same goals, but also, how they say, it takes a village to raise a child. I think it also just, even us as adults, it takes a village around us to support. Obviously the fire, the strength, and the will to do things is within us, but I think that support is important. Like I mentioned, I do work at a Cal State, and I've worked with students over the years, and it's tough because this campus is considered a commuter college, meaning they don't require, some CSUs, I don't know if you knew this, but some universities, it's a requirement for students who come in to dorm their first year. And this campus, it's not. So it's students come in and out. They commute into the college, come in, take the classes, and then go back home, right? So there's not a lot of involvement, I guess, in on campus, because they have to work, they have to come in, do what they got to do, and they got to leave. But you're right, there's a lot of support systems on campus. During my internship for my graduate years, my graduate degree, I did counseling. It was academic counseling, but I was really surprised a lot of the students didn't know we have like a writing center, we have a career center, we have a lot of cultural centers that help students as well. There's so much support out there. I know it's tough. I know sometimes it's like we have to work. That was me. I get it. Like, I didn't have time for anything extra. It's like I went in, took my class, went home, did my homework, went to sleep, and started all over again. But the support is out there. If you can find some some time, wiggle room, not wiggle room. What the heck? If you can find some time, squeeze some time in there. I know there's also weekend hours that a lot of these centers have. The help is out there, and a lot of the times these centers, they're empty because a lot of the students either don't know about it, or they just don't take advantage of it. But help is out there if you need it.
Yeah.
And the other, go Jessica.
I was just gonna say, even in my undergrad, I remember I'd ask you and Robert a lot of questions, Nelly, And you guys like helped me with that. And I even sent like a handful of papers to Robert to review. So definitely both of you have been an influence in my journey to higher education. And like I said, I just graduated last May. And I thought right off the bat, I wanted to do master's program, but I was like, nope, I need some time off. I need some time to like regather my thoughts, my strength, you know, because I think those 2 years took a lot out of me. But I'm little by little, like I'm looking into master's programs because I do want that. I also thought in my younger days, I would have been fine with just an undergrad, but today where I'm at, I want that master's. I think just to prove to myself that I am capable of it. So I do want to eventually, but I need a good year off. And then I'm gonna start thinking about that.
You can do it.
Yeah. Good to know. I should do it within 10 years for the stats. Cause
yeah, I was gonna say, don't take longer than 10 years because you're gonna have to redo it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I know, you know, both of you were mentioning and, you know, Robert and I, and you know, I have to say, like, yes, we provided you with the tools, and like anybody, you know, you could be provided with the tools, but it's up to you to take them and use them. So big kudos to you guys, you know, especially having, you know, Jess, you mentioned you had Melody, she was so little, like, yeah, you had this information, but you could have just left it there, but you didn't. Like, you actually took it, used it, ran with it. You know, Cindy, you too. I know a lot of the times it's so hard, you just want to give up. It's like, you know, screw this, I don't want to do it. But you guys chose to take them, to listen, to use them yourselves. You know, you guys actually did the walk, you know. So kudos to you guys. I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely hard, but I wanted to talk about, like, I also know some people that didn't go to college that are happy, and so this isn't necessarily the path for everybody. I always think, like, with my daughter, now with so much technology advancement, I'm continuing to learn now because of our technology advancement. Like, I feel like I'm still studying psychology, you know, like a lot of professors upload themselves on YouTube, or they'll provide their curriculum that you can do your own research on, or buy the books and, you know, kind of do it on yourself. Of course, it takes a lot of discipline, but there's also hybrid programs, which started even before COVID. One of my friends got her PhD online, and so I know that now there's going to be better access. You know, you probably don't have to go to the actual campus anymore and still be a part. And I know that there's a lot of communities, like all of these groups that we're talking about, if you're not able to meet, they are meeting through Zoom. Like, I was just talking to my best friend, and her mom's doing like some catechism classes through Zoom for moms in Spanish. So I'm like, that's awesome. And so I don't know, I wanted to point that out, that it's not necessarily for everybody. This doesn't mean that if you didn't pursue college, that maybe, you know, and you're fine in life and you figured out a loophole. Because to me, I was like, I don't know what else am I going to do, you know? And so it really has helped open the doors. I would love to take graduate programs, not for the degree, but just for the knowledge. Like, one of my jobs right now offers like loan forgiveness. Not loan forgive, but you know, they work with you to kind of lower your prices. And so I'm like, well, if I ever pay off my student debt, which is my goal, like, that's important. I would love to, like,
sorry.
Wait, what were you gonna say?
I was like, Biden, hurry up and
remove these fees.
And that loan forgiveness.
Yeah. That's why I was rooting for Bernie, because Bernie's like, I'm gonna wipe out all student loan debt. I was like, all right, Bernie, I feel you, bro.
Yeah. That is one of the cons, is how expensive it is, and then just how unknowledgeable I was with taking out loans. I didn't take anything extra, but I ended up with like 22 grand, which isn't bad. I know that sounds really bad, but that's not even bad, because I know some people that purposely would take out bigger loans, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. But my interest started to accrue, because there were different times where I would like furlough my loans. Like, I was like, I can't afford to pay, you know, like 300, 400 right now. So I'm just going to take a quick, you know, keep furloughing them, and they'll allow you to do that. But then your interest starts going up. So I think right now I owe
$1 million.
You guys are going to judge me, but 1.4. No, I'm just playing. It's just, it went up a little bit. And I need to get my financial coaching life together because
Dude,
it's in the back of my head. Like I can't let it go, you know? I'm like, I gotta pay this shit off. Like I don't like having debt. And so that is a con. Like if you don't know, talk to somebody like before you start taking money out, because it's gonna come, it's money from the government. It's gonna come back and haunt you for the rest of your life. So
yeah, and that's one of the things that attracted me to Cal State. They help their employees with tuition assistance. You get half of your tuition paid for. Not only you, but your spouse and your children. So I'm like, okay, yeah. So I can, if I decide to stay, that's something that I'm kind of struggling with, because I'm like, my goal is to go into a community college. And everyone's like, why? You're at Cal State.
It's really good. No, the community system takes care of their employees. It's like,
yeah, CSU, I think the benefits at a CSU are higher than at a community college. The pay is better at a community college, but in the long run, benefits, retirement, like this tuition assistance at a CSU, they're better. So I'm like, okay, Natalia's got like 5 more years, you know, like I don't know, but that's a big incentive that I'm like, that's a lot, you know. Robert was able to use it when he did his grad, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of things out there, you know. I knew a lot of like the MESA students, Cindy, I don't know if you remember, but a lot of them, yes, they were like engineering majors or math, but what they would do is they would teach, because there's that Apple program that they forgive all of your loans. You just have to teach for like 2 years or something in a obviously in a lower, yeah. So during my time, what they would do is, you know, they would graduate, they would transfer, they would teach for the 2 years or for the year, whatever it was, and then all their loans would be forgiven. And then they would go into their career of engineering or whatever they had to do. So you have to know how to like work the system a bit, but there's ways.
Damn, Nelly, we need to talk after this, because I graduated after COVID. I mean, during COVID. So everything's been on hold for me. Everything.
There's a lot of different things. Robert's right now in a mentorship program at LACCD. So that's if you want to teach at a community college, they mentor you, but you know, there's also the big possibility of them getting you in and offering you a position. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that are, it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look for those supports, because I was too embarrassed and shy to do stuff. But Nelly put me onto MESA, and so like that opened it for, you know, like, but there, I feel like, I don't know if it's an LA thing, because I didn't go to school out here in Colorado, so I don't know what systems. I'm sure there's a lot of student support, but anytime you go, you know, you're pursuing college, look for people. Don't be afraid to ask them questions. I didn't know what FAFSA was until like my second year in college. And people are like, you can totally apply, which I'm glad I didn't, to be honest with you, because that saved me some money. And it was still cheap back then, where I was just paying things out of while I was working. But I'm glad I didn't know about FAFSA, because I'd have been like, yeah.
And then that's when you let go of your go-go. That's when you let go of your go-go dancing on the weekends. Remember, you used to do go-go dancing at Mi Hacienda? Yeah. And it's like, Cindy, you don't need to do this lifestyle anymore. You can go home and sleep.
And I would cover my face so people wouldn't recognize me, because I was ashamed. Shame. Yeah. I got tips? No, but yeah. I'm so glad I didn't know about it, because I would have taken the loans. I would have been like, yeah, I'll take 2,000, whatever they were offering, I would have accepted. And that wasn't good. So I'm glad I didn't know about FAFSA. And FAFSA is financial aid, which, you know, helps. But it's almost like a credit card situation. You got to be very smart about what you're doing. I wasn't. I was like, yes. And they're like, but you're going to have to do this. And I'm like, so that's not even important right now. So be careful with the money. And there's also like Nelly was saying, there's a lot of nonprofits that'll help you pay. There's a lot of, like, if you work in certain nonprofit fields, like, you know, they help, right? Like there's something, they either lower your, I don't know, they help you pay something off or something.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of that.
There's a service loan forgiveness program too. So if you go into social work and if you work for a nonprofit for a certain amount of years, servicing a special population, which is where we all work at already, right? They forgive a certain amount of your loans. There's also something with LA County Department of Mental Health. If you work the same with the same population, underserved, communities, they will forgive. I think you have to apply every year, but like I know a licensed therapist, one of our students, that's how she's been doing it. Every year she applies, and she says, Nelly, like it's crazy because not a lot of people apply. So she says like every year they forgive about like $5,000 of her loan. So I think she's
Oh,
almost done with it. And then her
yeah.
employer too, she works at a mental health agency in the community. And every year also, like, you have to apply and request it, but I think, they'll forgive like 1,000 or 2,000. There's a lot of things out there. And maybe if that's not your end goal, just kind of, what is it? Fake it till you make it. Like, just do the service for the year or so and then
Yeah.
get it paid off and then move on. But I think sometimes a lot of the times we don't know what questions to ask, right? So I think that's why that was me. I see myself in a lot of these students that come up, and I think that's why I do it, because it's like, paying it forward, right? It's like that was me. I didn't know. And I like helping others, and why not share the information? We're better in our own community.
And it's true to pay it forward. That's very powerful because some of the mentors that I've come across as an adult, that's what they're doing for me. And they're showing me, I mean, Nelly, I consider her a mentor. Maria, I consider, Marina and Carla. These are all people that were a big part of the message journey. And these were people that are older than me that were working on, at that point, either pre-med or pre-engineering or like their masters or their doctorate degrees. And I was just around these women, minority women, that I was like, it was just amazing. And so because they helped me so much, I've always got a lot of joy from helping others. And like my things that I do, I'm like, and people are so, I see them in me where they're like, thank you so much for being so nice or for giving me. And I'm like, don't thank me, like, because it's like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like, no, of course I have to do this. People have done this for me. And how do I repay those people is by paying it forward and continue to
Exactly.
help others elevate. And so, aw.
Exactly.
See, this is why I wanted to have this conversation.
You empower everybody. You're going to continue to empower your daughters. I know you were saying, you mentioned college not being for everybody, and I'll be honest, I have two daughters, and I tell them that all the time. Like, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be better than me, and I want you to be happy. Whatever it is that you do in life, whether you go to college or not, I need you to be happy with what you're doing, whether it's get a degree or not. It's like you have to do something with yourself. And but the most important thing to me is just, it's be happy with what you're doing.
Yes. Chase happiness, not
Mm-hmm.
money, not things, because we get caught up, and when I was spending my financial aid on things, like I was
Me,
young,
me.
I was spending my money on Jessica. And so, no, and like my friends, I was just kind of like, money, let's
Yeah.
go. Like, I just wasn't, whoever was around me got the benefit of it. It was Jessica and the pink ladies. And so, no, but I really value knowledge. I don't, now as an adult, I feel that the education system isn't updated. And so, but by the time my daughter goes to school, I don't know what that will look like. But for me, I love to learn. I've gotten, there's other ways. You don't have to go to college. Like, there's a lot of certification programs.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was doing my meal prep business, I started to come around. A lot of my personal trainers were also like, they would compete. And so I was like, what if I get into, what if I become like a certified sports nutritionist? And so I got
Mm-hmm.
that, and it was like a whole year, like $300, and then they take like $30. Like, that was super accessible, and then you kind of, it's on your pace. It's like if you want to do it, if not, like whatever. But that I didn't go in that route, but I have that certification. It cost me $300, and I'm just saying, like, I'm not using it, but there's other certifications that I'd love to look into just to keep learning, like you don't have to necessarily go into a big program unless that's what you really want. And if it is, go wholeheartedly, surround yourself with people that are already where you want to be, so that you can learn from them. And there's always support. Just don't be afraid to ask for it. Don't be embarrassed. Like, I think that was my biggest problem. I was like, because I was too embarrassed to let people know I didn't know what FAFSA was and my
Right.
GPA, you know, like all of those things were an insecurity to me.
Mhm.
I like that. Like my final thought would be pursuing my higher education made me become a critical thinker. It showed me how to think and not what to think. And I think that's huge. Like this month is Women's History's March. I mean, right? March History Month. Oh my God, Eloy, delete this. Women's History Month. And it, like, I was doing my research on it. We just talked about this in work, and we just had, as women, you know, we're still learning. We're still breaking these stereotypes that we used to be. And I'm definitely going to try to embed that in my daughter. But if anything, a higher education just helped me think outside the box and do things that are going to make me happy and question everything. Man, if that's one thing it's shown me, I question everything. I just can't socially conform into anything. I have to question every single action or motive or what people are thinking or even agencies and so forth. So that's what it did for me.
For me too, I can say it's opened a lot of doors, and I've met like awesome people. You know, it allows you to think for yourself, and it's okay. One thing too that I've kind of like gained from this is, you know, like I mentioned, I have two daughters, and it's like I've learned that we need to provide the resources, the tools for them, whether they take them or not, you know, but we're providing all these resources and tools for them to be able to decide for themselves what it is that their life journey is going to look like, you know. So I think there is some chains that are broken, and as the generations proceed, I think it's better, you know. And that's awesome to know that you've left a little footprint, you know, in your own life history and your own family history. And I have to say, ladies, before we leave too, I just wanted to say that, you know, I'm really proud of you guys. This is such an awesome thing for you guys to be doing this podcast. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of strength and courage to be vulnerable. You know, you're left sometimes, I think, feeling exposed, right? And it's very courageous for you to be having this platform, having these conversations, you know, just bringing them up there and having the conversation. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but sometimes I think it's necessary to begin that work. You know, it's easy to be on the sidelines and have your opinions about certain things, but it's really courageous to create this platform, start these conversations, putting it out there. So awesome. Kudos to you guys, and keep it up.
Oh, thanks, Nelly.
You're welcome.
That means a lot from the person that opened the doors for me for a lot of stuff. So thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we appreciate your time. I hope you can come back. You are officially a prima, so we will be stalking you. Just kidding.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, tell us how you feel. I always ask for feedback. I promise you will not offend me. We just want to learn how to be better. Thank you so much for your time, Nelly. Thank you for everything you did for me, you know, as a person. Like, I don't know how my life would have went down. I'm pretty sure maybe I would have gotten to college later in life, but I mean, it just helped that you connected me. So thank you so much. I just, you have no idea, like, the impact.
How sweet. You're welcome. But you did it. Don't take away the power from you.
I know. I don't know how I did it.
Thank you.
I still don't know. All right, you guys.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.